I am live. I've given no one warning that I was going live, but I know that the phone will last for about, maybe 15 minutes, maybe even less. But I did do, of course, a live the other day here in Yellowknife. I'm going to show you this just beautiful statue right here. Although the red dress, I haven't seen a plaque about it, but the red dress is always very, very significant in acknowledging missing and murdered Indigenous women in this country. So, hi, Marilyn. Do you mind just putting a quick note in our group and just say that we're live? Hi there. Well, that's very kind of you. Hi, Jay. Nice. So it won't last too long because this morning the outside temperature, you ready for this? Was the wind chill was minus 44. Hello. Sorry, there is what I think is probably a snow bunting singing. It's quite fun looking at the tracks in the snow too. See that? Those to me those are generally squirrels. But where I am right now, why this is significant, is I am at the Northwest Territories Territorial Assembly. Hi, Janice. Listen, big hugs to you. And I did want to say out loud, thank you for the contribution that I received from you. I think this morning I got on my emails. I don't know what the temperature is now. It was definitely like minus 35 this morning. But this is the government of the Northwest Territories here. So the whole NWT, bonjour, is fewer than 50,000 people. Of course, in 1999, it was, you had to find me on the map. Exactly. Well, here's their Territorial Assembly, opened 1993. I'm probably going to bring the group over for a tour tomorrow. There are 11 official languages here. Isn't that just an incredible thing? So obviously, good morning. So, hi, Emily. English and French, and then 9 Indigenous languages. So here is the Assemblée Législative du Territoire du Nord-Ouest. So, and all the different languages that are spoken. Now, this is, of course, still a parliamentary system, but this assembly is very unique. And I'm sorry, I can't tell you right off. It's a round meeting hall at the top, which is very typical of Indigenous culture, but they don't have political parties here. So it's all a consensus system. You might hear some noise in the distance. That's over by, there's the power station and then the airport. But it's so neat, so I'll try and post some more photos of the territorial government there. Oh, that's an airplane. There you go. That one is, I don't know which one that is. Of course, really, commercial aviation as we know it today basically started in the north of Canada, right? That's the origin of it, which is pretty significant. There's city center Yellowknife. So up here at the knife, so I'm up on the north end. It's like Janice said, you had to look at the map. We really are the end of the road. Now, we are not north of the Arctic Circle here, but we're about, 150 miles, I think, 200 kilometers. See their license plates in the shape of polar bears? These will be government vehicles, so that's why I'm happy to show their picture. And now this is a small lake. This isn't Great Slave, another lake out here, but people zipped by on snowmobiles this morning. They're actually doing something out there. That's interesting. So I'm up in the Canadian Shield, and that's silver birch tree. I mostly got black spruce around me and jack pine. All those people walking way up there are my group. They're going out dog sledding in about half hour. So that's why we're wandering back. And then we're ice fishing later, and then back out tonight. Last night we were out looking at the Northern Lights. We drove over 100 kilometers last night, about 60 miles, and we didn't get back till 2 o'clock in the morning. How's that? But look at the lovely snow. Now, this is particularly March, is the driest time of the year. So even though there's lots of snow around, there's snow because, of course, it stays so cold here. I'll just turn this around to get my sunglasses on. But it has snowed. It snowed last week sometime. But because you get these perfect blue skies, the aurora is seen here. Last night was really lovely, although you needed the phones to draw it out. The night before, we had them out dancing for us, which was just fantastic. I can see we still just have a small number of people on. Please tell me if you're still here, everyone. I'm never sure if the whole system just freezes up, and if that's that. It's funny, they do get black bears, so you still have the bear-proof bins. Wolves, caribou, but no caribou right around the city, but clearly some fascinating tracks of animals in the snow, and snow always tells you a story of what's happening around. So you have deer wolverines and pine martens. There are moose and caribou, but they're a long ways out, of course, hunting cultures. Hi there. It's good that people are still connected. I'll show you one very classic snow thing. Obviously someone went and made a snow angel right there. On the other hand, this was definitely, I think, a predator. I think this is a pine marten. Made those tracks. And then you can hear, if you're hearing a noisy bird, that is the raven. And these ravens are massive and they stay all winter. They're scavengers. So this government building coming up here are the archives. Hi, everyone. I do have my sunglasses on, makes it a little bit harder just to see the screen. Now over here, now remember the economy up here, there's obviously traditional economies, people lived here thousands of years, but this is the north of 60. 60 is the boundary with the territories and the provinces. So straight south is the province of Alberta, where I'm from, but there's the mining memorial to commemorate the men that perished on September 18th, 1992, which is tragic. And this is a broader monument here to dedicated to the men and women who lost their lives in the mining industry in Northwest Territories. Of course, mining has been very important in the economy here. It drives the economy, basically, as well as sovereignty. So I don't know how well that comes out, but it's every name and where people died. So it is quite moving. Of course, deep gold mining, diamond mining, some of the biggest diamond mines in the world are here. And now it's going to be lithium from all accounts. Now this building coming up, I'm going to keep a pace because I know that the phone is just going to fail at some point, or the gimbal will just fail from the cold. But these are the archives of Northwest Territories. At the end of the day, it's a small population, but over a vast, vast, vast territory. And so as a consequence, of course, they run themselves. Now, it's a territory, not a province. The only real difference about that is that a province in Canada has tax-raising ability. Territories do not. And really, it's the small population. So I don't think there's much of a desire to become a province up here. Again, it was last split. In fact, my great-grandparents, even some older relatives, were born in the Northwest Territories, which became Alberta. So this was all the lands of the Hudson's Bay Company once upon a time. And that was in 1869, purchased by the Canadian government during that colonial period. Let me just come up here for a second. This is just such a beautiful thing. It's a little hard to see on the screen, but these are the community flags of the Northwest Territories. Now, some of you joined me on some live virtual tours I did a while ago up in the Klondike, up in Dawson City. That's Yukon. That would be just over here. You hang a right at Dawson City, you get up to Fort McPherson, you have to take a ferry across the river, then you carry up to Inuvik, where they have an igloo church, and then a few years ago they just extended the drive up to Tuktoyaktuk, and that's the highest point you can drive anywhere on this continent. So it's hi, and then Sax Harbor's up on an island way up north. So again, we're at about 63 degrees. So these are all the communities of NWT out here. 9 Indigenous linguistic groups. Now keep in mind, I'm in a capital city. Granted, a small one, but I am in a capital city. And right here in front of me is a snowmobile crossing. Right there. And there is some of my group walking back to the hotel that way. The main grocery store is that way. I think I'll just carry on along here. And I can show you over in the distance. Well, right out in front of me is, of course, the City Hall, which I'd shown you the other day. So, and now, there's not a ton of wind. You can see from the smoke coming out. But it is northern and cold, but clean and dry. A lot of exposed rock. And Canadian Shield is Precambrian Shield. It is some of the oldest rock in the whole wide world. By the way, just over in the distance there is a hockey rink and a skating rink. Now this, honestly, the north here is in many ways more enjoyable really in the winter. I mean, people come from around the world, like great big Japanese tour group in our hotel too. They come for the Northern Lights. Last night we were standing out at a lake, 1 o'clock in the morning, and someone proposed. And apparently she said yes, so that was good news. But it was sort of a lovely thing to do. But people get out, and live it. Now it's It's on the cold end of normal for this time of year. Fortunately, I had really prepped my group for that fact, saying, it could easily be minus 30, so be aware of that. Just love all these flags for the community. I think I will go, I'm actually going to take you down around here. I do need to head back. I've also been outside now for about 35 minutes and there is a risk of frostbite. Now, I'm careful. I'm bundled up and then I put on zinc and then cream on my cheeks and all of that, which is normal. But I tell you what, when you are in the far, far north here, and again, if you haven't done it, do look at the map where Yellowknife is, the north side of Great Slave Lake. Now, the name Great Slave Lake, it is the, the Great Bear Lake, north of us again, is the largest lake solely in Canada, and the 9th largest in the world, I think, and the Great Slave Lake is the 10th largest lake in the world, and the 9th deepest. It gets down over 600 meters deep at one point. Again, that really ancient rock. Oh, I've just walked out of the sun, and I'd say the temperature just dropped 3 degrees. But the Slave is actually, was a name of that the Cree called a Dene population. So there is some move to change the name. There was not enslavement, but the French fur traders came here and started calling it that from the Cree translation. So there is some talk about using a Dene name for the lake. It was Chippewayan Dene right around here. And I was chatting with a gentleman the other day who had a very distinct accent in English, and he told me he was Chippewayan and taught me a couple of words, unfortunately. Tough tonal language. Boy, I would love to come up and study one of those languages. But this is the whole park area. Imagine what it's like in the summer. The Territorial Assembly. And of course, on the map of NWT, you actually have a dog sledding. And these are snowmobile tracks. So architecture, as you can imagine, is pretty functional, as it needs to be for the cold. But there's colleges here and there's services. I'd say probably the only downside is because their weather's so dry and they plow the roads, if there is any trash around, it tends to sit there. I know they do a big cleanup in the summer, but that's always a little shame to see that. But people are, as you would expect, friendly and nice. Now, someone asked me about polar bears, because of course, images of polar bears everywhere. You don't see polar bears down here. That's up along the coast, and that's much more significant. But I do want to show you the stop sign up here, because it is written in English and Dene. And last night, we drove on the ice road over to Data, which is a indigenous community. So it's about a 12-14 minute drive in the winter, and in the summer it's 40 minutes because you can't drive on the lake in the summer, which is, I guess, self-evident. So just making my way across the street here. You always watch from the slipperiness. Hey, hi Martine, good to have you here. This would be sort of place you'd love to come. I do have 2 people on this trip from the UK, and then everyone else is from different parts of the States. See, caribou and muskox over there in the art. Oh boy, yeah, I'm ready to go and warm up now because the cheeks are starting to feel it. That's why I'd rather spend more time in the sun if I can. I did want to show everyone a really cool thing, which I was able to explain to the group this morning. Let's do these mini walking tours. We have the Arctic Games for everything north of 58. This is a Arctic sport that goes way back to when people lived in igloos or covered in pit houses or teepees. So even though this is one of the largest areas in the whole world, you were in very small areas. And so in the winter, inside, this is a jumping game. They jump up and try and kick the ball at different heights. So isn't that just an amazing thing? So I'll keep walking with you all for a minute or two. There's Shoppers Drug Mart, which is a classic chain here in Canada. And the Black Knight pub. I've only been out really, this is not a real pub trip because we're going out at like 9:30 at night. Now I'm wearing my own clothes from home because I live in a cold place anyway, but they all rented gear there. There is Yellowknife gold and silver. And then here you've got a caribou. Caribou is the only on the lot where the females also grow antlers. Yellowknife books. And there's an elk's lodge over on the left. And their main food store, we actually stopped at the grocery store yesterday, and it really wasn't nearly as expensive as one thinks. Now, of course, when you live in the north, everything's a long way away. But there is a lot of support, and it is bilingual. Huh? Société des collectifs ingénieuses canadiens. And so I'm just one more street up, and I'm at the hotel. So that's just a little taste tester. Yesterday it lasted exactly 20 minutes in this cold. So what I'll do is probably just sign off. Feel free to share this anywhere. So here again tomorrow, we'll be out probably till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning again tonight. And then tomorrow we will head out flights at 2:30 down to Calgary. 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes even. Oh, the other cool thing, I did mention this yesterday though, just up here was a hamburger restaurant at NW. Well, now it's a Filipino restaurant, and there's an Ethiopian restaurant and a sushi restaurant. So you've got everything. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just catching up with my group, so I will see you all very soon. Hey, big hugs. I will warm up, but I love the cold, as you know. It's a beautiful place to be. Peace and love from the far north. Look at that blue sky. I will be careful, I promise. Bye-bye.